me lo ricordo come un bel video. Dura una decina di minuti, ce lo guardiamo insieme. Sei giovane, vita. Sei vecchio. È il 2020. Non crescere.
Franny, what does it say?
Don't grow up.
È una trappola.
So I woke up this morning, a 38-year-old guy who's married and has 3 kids. When did that happen?
Come cazzo passa il tempo, ragazzi?
Are you old or are you young?
Young.
How old are you?
5.
5 anni. Nel 2020 aveva la ragazzina. Questo è Casey Neistat da piccoli, è bruttissimo, tra l'altro posso dire. Però
Time
vabbè.
is not equal. The older you get, the faster it moves.
Cercate di seguire questo ragionamento, perché è un ragionamento che ha fatto anche Surri sul video, quello che vi ho menzionato prima, che ha ripreso ovviamente da questo video, perché è mind blowing. Cercate di seguire questo ragionamento. Più il tempo passa, cioè più diventi vecchio, più il tempo passa veloce. Guardate perché.
I just mean that when you think of the scope of your life, that's a unit of time we all understand uniquely. I'm 38. I know what 38 years means. And 1 year as a percentage of that is pretty small. But so we all get one lifetime. This is the constant. No matter who you are or how long you live, you only get one lifetime. And a year, or the years that make up a lifetime, well, this becomes the variable. I'm 38, she's 5.
Adesso metto 38 caramelle sopra.
I've got 38 years. Franny's 5 years. So as a percentage of my whole life, a year is only 2.6% of that life. But for Franny, who's 5, 1 year for her
20%.
is 20% of her life. A year for me is 7 times faster than a year for her. Remember being a little kid? Remember how long a year seemed? It was like an eternity.
Ragazzi, questo è vero. Allora, io non so quanti anni avete voi in generale, però io ricordo che specie quando ero all'inizio delle superiori, io dicevo, cazzo, cioè io non vedo l'ora di avere 18 anni, perché almeno posso farmi la macchina, posso iscrivermi a eBay, posso iscrivermi a PayPal, queste cose qua, no? Cazzo, dai 14 ai 18 è stata un'eternità. E io mi ricordo come se fosse ieri a 18 anni quando ho detto la frase a mio padre, vabbè, che mi prende sempre in giro per questa cosa. 18 anni, sono libero. Ma libero di che?
Now think back to last year. And the thing that I've recently come to appreciate is how much of that life you spend focusing on the future versus focusing on the past.
È vero, Ken. È vero, è vero. Anche le elementari sono state stralunghe.
This is my notebook from 2003. This crazy chart here, it's just labeled dominate, and it's my plan to dominate in life, written in 2003. Now, I was young then, I had accomplished very little. So when I thought of my life, when I took inventory of what my life was, it was largely aspirational. It was about where I wanted to be in the future, not what I'd done in the past.
A voi vi capita di scrivere quello che volete raggiungere? A me mai.
So this is life, this is where you start, this is where you end, and this is me.
Si spera di finire dopo i 90 anni.
A life is defined by the things you've done in the past, as well as the things you aspire to do in the future. Looking ahead, looking back.
Where are you going?
And as I grew up, especially as I became like a teenager, and when I moved to New York City, I realized that what defined me were my aspirations, were the things that I wanted for myself in the future. So if you imagine being a 19-year-old me and saying, 19-year-old Casey, tell me about yourself, I wouldn't have talked about my past. I wouldn't have talked about the C- I got in 10th grade English, or that I had a job that I hated, or that I lived in a tiny apartment with 3 roommates. I would have talked about my future, the things I wanted to do, the life I wanted to build, my dreams, my aspirations. I lived in that future, and that's what defined me then. But as I got older and started looking back, I realized I'd accumulated a lot in life. In my 20s, I had accumulated so much that defined who I was. I was still largely defined by my aspirations, but my past started to feel like it was contributing to who I was then.
E ora?
And now I find myself here. I'm almost 40. I've lived through my 20s, I've lived through my 30s, and I still have my aspirations, but so much of who I am has been defined by my past now.
You like this? Oh my god.
Yes, it is.
Un po'. Mi fa paura il futuro, sì.
Leaving my parents' house, having a kid, moving to New York City, September 11th. That's 20-year-old Casey.
Mamma mia, guarda che brutto. Mamma mia, ragazzi. Ci sono certe cose che noi abbiamo potuto vedere nel corso della nostra vita che sono storiche, cioè sono davvero storiche.
Pick up the West Side Highway to get away from the towers. Getting my first real job, quitting my first real job, being single, meeting Candace, getting married, starting a family. After like a dozen years of trying, finally figuring out my career. Yes, I'm starting a proper daily vlog. That fear and uncertainty that really defines early adulthood, all of that is in my past.
Tutto dietro, è tutto dietro.
Life is this freight train, and it leaves the station slowly, but it picks up momentum, and it goes faster and faster and faster, and then you wake up one day, and it's 2020, and you're not a kid anymore, and you become that adult that you remember when you were a kid. You remember looking at, thinking, I'll never be that old, but you will be that old, and there's nothing you can do to change that.
È vero, assomiglia un po' a Progetto Happiness, vero?
Happy birthday to you. There, I blew him out.
Happy 91st birthday, Nana.
Thank you, sweetheart. What would I do without you, Casey?
How does it feel to be 91? She was my hero. That was my grandmother. When she was a kid, she discovered her love for dancing. That was her passion, her dream. She realized it her whole life. And I remember vividly having this conversation with her just before she died, just after that video of her birthday was taking place. We're in her dance studio. The walls are covered in pictures from her career, like her performing for the troops during World War II, her on Broadway in the late 1930s. And I said to her, Nana, your life has been so exceptional, your past so extraordinary. But what do you think about in terms of your life when you think about the future? Nana, which of your upcoming birthdays would you say?
Oh mamma mia. Oh mamma mia. Sta per arrivare un momento, mi sa che hitta forte, eh?
You're looking forward to the most. And she said, in her infinite wisdom, I don't think about the future. And then she said, and this is the point of all. And then she said, but when I wake up in the morning, I'm so grateful to have one more day that is what I focus on. I focus on right now. I try to think about that every day. I try to think about that every day when I wake up. I know from experience that spending too much energy romanticizing the past or dreaming about the future can come at the expense of appreciating today. And I'm not 92 years old, and I hope I've got a long, long future ahead of me, but I don't know. What I do know is that I've got right now, and that's pretty great.
Sì. Che poi sembra un discorso banale, eh?
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you might just miss it.
La vita si muove velocemente, quindi se non ti fermi e guardi un po' attorno,
I said it before and I'll
potresti
say it again.
perdertelo.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Wow, wow, è vero ragazzi. È assolutamente vero. La vita va avanti molto, molto velocemente e soprattutto ci sono talmente tante cose brutte che a volte sembra stupido lamentarsi per le cose piccole, no? Ma in realtà abbiamo diritto di fare anche quello. Molto bello questo video. La vita è come la mascella di Jody, nel senso che è grossa, si spera, è lunga, è importante, è come una scatola di cioccolatini, diceva Forrest Gump.